All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Winning Picks Weekly. I'm your host for today, Greg, and with me as always, Chip Murphy. Chip Murphy7 on Twitter. What's going on, Chip?
I'm good, man. Excited to be talking more college ball.
Yeah, another week, another fantastic week. We were good last week. I had a great college weekend, following a great NFL weekend last weekend, so I was really feeling it. Did okay on Sunday, but college football's been going well this season, man. Are we at the halfway mark here at week 9?
Week nine feels further than halfway, right?
More than halfway through the regular season, for
Regular
sure.
season. Regular
But
season.
I'm talking about like I don't know. I'm thinking of it like it's the semifinals and finals count as like 2 games.
Yeah, bowl
So with
season
all
too.
that,
You have to take in. Yeah, bowl season's the best. I mean, it's not quite March Madness, but it's
it's
fantastic.
pretty
All
damn
the bowls.
close.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean the tweet going around Twitter all day today. 27 straight days of football start today.
Yeah, I
Maction is
saw
back
that.
next week.
Maction. Oh, I can't wait for
We're ready to
Maction.
go. We're ready. We're locked and
Yeah.
loaded. The counts are looking good. I think I've had one losing season on the season. I don't know if you have your year-to-date stats in front of you. I forgot. I'm putting you on the spot a little here.
I had them up on Twitter. I don't know if I have them.
I'm 71-54 on the year, and that's a good point, Chip. Follow him on Twitter, Chip Murphy7 on Twitter. We're Winning Pete Weekly on Twitter. We go over it all, man. We talk about it. We talk during the games. We're that Syracuse game. Boy, what did you get? 40 tweets, 50 tweets on that game last week?
Oh my God. Yeah, it was. I was going through it with that one, with the refs in particular on that
Oh,
one. If you watched that game and didn't have a problem with the officiating,
you're the problem.
then you were a Clemson fan. That's the only way you could not have a problem with that. That was the most poorly officiated game, or one of the most poorly officiated games I've ever seen. The rest were shit in that game.
Especially down the stretch in the second
Oh
half.
my
I mean, it was
God.
crazy.
That pass interference call that Clemson got was on a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
That they were
Unbelievable.
just ridiculous, man. I know Q's covered whatever, and I had a money line too, but
That would have been a nice hit because, dude, they were looking good. They were
yeah,
looking good. You called it from a mile away. Cuse gives them trouble. I don't know what it is, but they
well,
do it every time.
I think I know what it is. I think Clemson just isn't that good on offense, especially.
Oh,
And I
yeah,
know
sure.
they brought in the kid too, and I think there was worry like, oh shit, now it's like a Trevor Lawrence thing. Here we go, Cuse is screwed, but Cuse's defense is legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he didn't come in and do whatever he wanted to do. So yeah, Cuse looked good. Unlike I have my year to date record up. I make a lot more bets than you and John do
You
on
bet a
college
ton.
football. I bet on the Thursday games, the Friday games, if once there's Maction comes back, I'm going to be betting even more. I have the J.R. Smith approach to college football betting. Just take as many shots as possible. I am,
The ultimate green light.
yeah, 76, 90, and 4.
That's
So
good.
that's 45.8% right now.
Yep. That's where you want to be, man. We're striking distance. Like we're saying, we're not even really started. We're not even really started yet. We've had now 8 weeks to learn these teams, gather our opinions. There's a couple of dozen games maybe left in the regular season. Then we get into conference games. Then we get into national championships. Then we get into bowl games. I mean, it's going to be beautiful.
One good week. I need one good week.
That's all it takes. That's
I
all it
had
takes.
because I had one terrible week. You take away that one terrible week, and it looks a lot different. It's just all it takes is that one bad week too to make your numbers look awful.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I was feeling like I had a bad week last week in NFL. I think I was 6-8, something like that. Like it was very close together. John was phenomenal. I think he was 11-3. But back-to-back weeks in real life hit underdog moneyline parlay in the NFL 2 weeks ago. I did it on the show, but last week on the show I hit one. So to your point, especially if you're betting like that, plus 1,100, plus 1,300, plus 2,000 on some of these parlays, you really only need one of those to have a phenomenal season.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of phenomenal seasons, let's get into it. Let's talk about some of our best bets for the week here on week 9. Why don't you start us off? We got 3 best bets each. Give us one you got to start.
Okay, I like the Thursday games. I was going through all of the slate so far,
Sure.
but and this may be betting with my heart a little bit
Yep.
because this is such a big game, but I'm going to take Michigan minus 22 and a half as a best bet. I think
Wow.
they're going to, yeah, I know. I think they're going to crush Sparty. And maybe I'm betting, like you said, like I said, betting with my heart
Yep.
a little bit. Yeah. And I want this to happen too, but I don't know. I have a feeling. I just think Michigan State is bad and Michigan wants revenge. They
Big time.
really want to crush them, like bad. They want to crush them. And I think they're just significantly better. So, yeah, I like Michigan State minus 22 and a half in this spot.
Dude, I love it too. And you want to know one of the reasons why I absolutely love it? It's a tough number. It's a big number, especially
Yeah.
in a rivalry game. Like, I have big numbers on my card this week because it's been working for me. I think two of my bets are big numbers and big time programs. Michigan is a big number and a big time program. They're vying for that top seed in college football, sitting at 22 and a half. It's a lot of points. If you think about it,
People are taking Michigan State, though.
that's what
Like,
that
more of the money's on Michigan State. And I'm like, have you watched this fucking team play? They stink.
that was going to be my point, Chip.
Yeah.
90% of the money is on Michigan State, and I
That's
get it.
absolutely insane.
I get it. If it's 40,
Absolutely
if it's
insane.
40 to 21, you're covering. If it's 40 to 14 and you score a touchdown with no time left in the fourth quarter in garbage time, you're covering. Right? Yeah, 40, yeah, 41.
Yeah,
40.
yeah.
So, dude, I get that it's scary. It's not this scary. It's not 90% of the money should be on Michigan State scary. 10% of the money is on Michigan, and I'm getting them as a home team. I'm taking it every time if I'm fading the public that hard. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Not a best bet for me. You and I are vying back and forth for trying to be who's the more Michigan man who didn't go to Michigan. And you outflanked me there a little bit. I have Michigan.
I got you
love
there.
Michigan. I didn't think about that as a best bet. You know why? Because I'm staying the Big Ten. I'm rolling hard with the top-ranked team. I'm starting off my day with Ohio State, minus 14.5 at the noon game. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be Ohio State absolutely killing Penn State. 14.5 scares me, that number, a little bit. But I absolutely love it, Chip. What do you think about this game?
I think Penn State's going to cover because I'm taking Penn State plus 14 and a half. Okay. Yeah.
So-
I'm taking Penn State here. I know. James Franklin against great teams.
That's what I'm saying. Where's the switch up coming from? You and
I know.
We were high-fiving. We were clapping. We were
I know.
last week.
I know. I don't know, man. Tell me if I'm crazy, but I just think this Ohio State team isn't it. Like,
oh, you're nuts! You're an absolute lunatic. They're the real deal.
You think so? You think they're the real deal?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're a top 5 team. I think they're going to go undefeated this season. I think they're going to be in the college football playoff.
I think Michigan can beat them.
I think
Michigan can beat them, but Penn State's not going to beat them. But Ohio State doesn't always come in and just blow teams away.
It's true.
That's
on the road in Penn State, so I get that, right? You talked about it, spread being 14.5. Right now, the money's 50-50 on it. Same thing with the over at 60.5. It's 50-50.
And Penn State is fueled by their defense, too. They're a tough team.
Yeah.
Ohio State's soft. They've always been soft under Ryan Day. Like, we saw Notre Dame push them around in the opener, and they struggled. Like, if Penn State can make it an ugly game, they could keep it close. And I think that's their only chance. And if we get good Sean Clifford somehow, maybe they keep it close. I think it's worth. Look, I also love a home dog too, so yeah. I like that pick.
It's a big number.
It's a big number, and I'm already taking one big number with Michigan, and
just trying to balance it out.
Trying to balance it out, but yeah, and I can't get over the fact that it's at Penn State, maybe too. I think it's a big crowd, and
I think it's ripe. I think it's ripe for conversations. I see. All right, so more than I see a cover for sure. I think if you're betting this game money line, you're an absolute lunatic. I think if you can close your eyes and try to envision on Monday the storylines going swirling around TV and the Twitter space, I think it's more likely that Franklin's like looking for a job and on the extremely
No.
hot seat after getting blown out by 30 to Ohio State.
How many times do we say that about Ohio State and they never do it though?
Yeah, it kind of is it is kind of like a matchup of like one team can't beat a good school, a good school can't like bury a bad team or a team that they're better than.
They just never really do that, I feel
I
like.
know.
They never
I feel like you and I are have different opinions of how the Ohio State Notre Dame game went. Because I feel like Ohio State switched up their fancy boy pass the ball to 5 different guys and throw for 600 yards offense, and they got in the mud with Notre Dame and covered and beat them up pretty good. Like I thought it showed that they can play either style, whether it's going to be this run the ball a lot, muck it up with the defense. I think Ohio State's defense is better than Penn State's defense. I don't know if that's a crazy thing to say or not, but
maybe.
we'll see.
I
I
don't
think
know.
they could play in the mud. I think they can hang in there. So 14.5 scares me a little bit. Would love it at 13.5. That's my first best bet of the day, Chip. Give me number 2. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm riding with Cuse as the best bet.
Let's go.
So I'm sticking with that.
Let's
Cuse,
go.
the fact that once I saw Notre Dame open up as a favorite, I immediately tweeted out that the disrespect was hideous, like just disgusting disrespect. And it's now it's Cuse minus 2.5.
Yeah,
because so many people bet Cuse, and it's absurd that Cuse didn't open up as the favorite. But it's at Cuse. That game is going to be. I assume that game will be sold out with all the front-running Notre Dame fans. They're going to be there too.
true.
And when Cuse opened up ticket sales for the season, they were selling the Notre Dame tickets separately.
Oh, okay.
You couldn't buy the Notre Dame seats along with the other. Like they were holding back sales
Sure.
for the Notre Dame seats. So it's a big ticket. I think a lot of people who aren't even really Cuse football fans are probably just going to go to be like, oh, I saw a Notre Dame game. That should be sold out.
Yeah, especially if you think of how many people that live up in that area, like Syracuse, Buffalo, Rochester, wherever it might be, and you're like Notre Dame alum. Like, how often does Notre Dame come to your area? You could travel a few hours by a car and go see a Notre Dame game, even if you're not really a Syracuse fan.
Yeah, exactly.
But
it should be sold out.
Yeah.
Cuse doesn't typically sell out football games. I would think if they're going to sell one out, it would be that one.
Yeah, before the snow, before all that stuff. It's still beautiful weather on Saturday, a noon kickoff for that one. I love it. Syracuse ranks 16 in the country right now. Like you said, minus 2.5, only 27% of the money coming in on Syracuse right now.
Notre Dame has been for whatever reason, way better on the road than they have been at home. At home, they've lost to Stanford and Marshall at home, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't like Notre Dame.
So what about?
I got burned by them.
What about letdown versus bounce back? Right, Notre Dame got embarrassed by Stanford last week. Was that game? Or was that 2 weeks ago?
Cuse's defense is legit and good, and Notre Dame's offense sucks. I don't know if you need to look any further than that, but I understand what you're saying. Cuse had a really deflating loss against
That's
Clemson.
What I'm saying. I think it could be a huge letdown spot for him. That's why I'm thinking about the under 48. I agree with you. I think that Notre Dame might struggle to score 2 touchdowns this game.
I think they will.
Yeah, and I think that Syracuse just might have a little deflating start to the game. Maybe the slow starts, a noon start. You're a college kid. You almost beat Clemson. You're coming back to Syracuse. Might just be a little slow start. So I like the under 48 because of you, Chip, because we do this show. I'm going to do a double bet on this, and I'm going to take Syracuse as well. Hasn't gone wrong yet this year when I add Syracuse. So let's keep it rocking. Right. Let's keep it rolling.
Nice.
That also ends my noon slate, so I don't know what else you got in the noon slate, but I got 2 games, big games, and I absolutely love them. But before we get into the time by time games, let's stick with the best bets here. I'm going to go with my second best bet of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't believe I'm saying it. I can't believe I'm doing it. I love Iowa. I love Iowa this week, minus 10.5. I believe at home against Northwestern, 3:30 kickoff. I think Iowa's defense is one of the best in the country. I don't think Northwestern is particularly good.
They're terrible.
And I don't get why 80% of the money is on Northwestern. Iowa's defense is legit. They're home. They are going to demolish Northwestern. I get that 10.5 points is a lot for this offense, so that worries me a little bit. The under's 37.5 and has 90% of the money.
I'm taking that. I
You're-
love the under so much.
Oh.
I love the under, the crazy under. I love taking that. The
Yeah.
crazy under.
I'm sticking with the spread here, though, just because so much money is already on the under. That worries me. I'm sticking with the spread. Again, fading the public like crazy. 80-20 split to Northwestern. So, therefore, I'm taking Iowa at home.
I don't trust Iowa. Fuck them.
I
I don't trust them at all. I get it. Northwestern's awful. I watched some of the Duke game. Duke just crushed them, ran the ball down their throat, destroyed them. Yeah, and Duke is obviously better than we thought. So what they did to Miami, oh my god! But Nebraska. Well, they beat Northwestern, beat Nebraska, but no, Northwestern's really bad. So I mean, for Iowa to be favored by double digits against you, doesn't matter where you play, you're bad. So
yeah, I actually wonder. I'm gonna look it up real quick. What the team total is for Northwestern? Because I might take that under.
That I mean, can Northwestern score 2 offensive touchdowns against Iowa? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But let's move on to our your third best bet here. Let's see what you got. For your third game.
I wanted so badly to take a MAC game.
Yeah.
And I'm going to obviously take a bunch of MAC games, like just bet a bunch of MAC games.
Yeah, but again, it's a great time to remind people to follow you on Twitter, Chip Murphy 7, the channel here at Winning P Weekly. You can check us out on YouTube, on the Knicks, Jets, etc. YouTube, but really on Twitter. To your point, we're going to be adding games, and as we get into action, we're still going to be doing one episode a week, but there's games every freaking day. So
yeah,
we'll be talking about them. We'll be chopping it up on there in between episodes.
Yeah. So I'm not. I decided to go against the MAC, and for whatever reason, there's something about Shane Beamer in South Carolina, man. I love that team.
Okay.
I absolutely love Shane Beamer, and they play Missouri at home. And they're only favored by 4. And I feel like they should be favored by more than that. Whatever, after what they just did, they played really well. They beat Kentucky, and now A&M they beat too.
I was going to ask you if someone's hurt on South Carolina, because to me it makes no sense that why they're ranked. They're at home. Missouri is not very good.
Mm-hmm.
To your point, it's 3.5 minus 3.5 at home.
Oh, I thought it was I guess it's 3.5. I thought it was 4.
It's 3.5 or 4, depending on what sport book you're looking at. So it could be 4. So we'll say 4 for the show. At 4, I see it. 93% of the money is on Missouri. How?
This says starters get clean bill of health versus Missouri for South Carolina.
Yeah, like that's crazy. I thought their quarterback might have got hurt or running back, something. Because to me, it makes absolutely no sense.
I know it's a rivalry. It's a big rivalry. So it's like the Super Bowl for Missouri, right? Like this is a big rivalry game, but it's at South Carolina. I feel like South Carolina isn't really getting the respect they deserve. I know A&M stinks. Like South Carolina is clearly just a better team than A&M, but South Carolina is ranked. Maybe they feel like because South Carolina is ranked for like the first time in, I think it's like 5 years or something, or maybe even longer than that. It's a long time since they've been ranked. Maybe they feel like there's going to be a letdown after that or something.
Could be.
But I don't know. I think this team's good, and I like Shane Beamer a lot. I'm going South Carolina minus 3.5. I thought it was 4, but if I can get 3.5 too, I'll say South Carolina minus 3.5.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you on it. I'm staying away just because so much money's on Missouri. I feel like someone knows something, but South Carolina, you've talked about them all season long, even in the preview episodes. They look good. Like you said, I mean, what's more to say? They're one of those teams that gets ranked every once in a while. They're ranked this season. They're playing well. Missouri stinks, and they're at home. So I agree with you. It's a small number. To me, I think it's too easy. So I'm staying away, but I am going with a game that I also think is too easy for my third best bet. And it's giving me a hard time, Chip. I feel like I have to do it again. It's a weird number, minus 22.5. I'm going with Georgia. I think Georgia at home over Florida.
Wow.
22.5. Like I said, I'm addicted to the big numbers. 50-50 split on the money right now for the spread. 65-35 on the over, 56.5 towards the over. So people think it's going to be going over. Dude, I just think Georgia is way, way better than Florida from what I've seen from Florida so far this season. And I think they're at home. Are they coming? Who did they play last week? Are they coming off a bye?
I think Georgia's coming off a bye, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I lost track of Florida. They stink. I haven't even been following them really
Yeah,
too much.
yeah. They're both coming off a bye. Okay, I didn't realize Florida was too. I know they lost that game to LSU 2 weeks ago. LSU's another one of those teams that's looking pretty good right now, but we'll save that for another day.
LSU's moving.
Oh yeah, but dude, Georgia. I just think the offense is too good. I think the defense is too good. Florida with Anthony Richardson, I get it. He's electric. I don't think he's going to be able to be electric against the number one team in the country. 22.5 is a weird number. That worries me a little bit. Kind of like the Ohio State number worries me a little bit. I'm on the wrong side of the number there, but I'm still rocking with it. Georgia minus 22.5.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet against Georgia in that spot because I just don't trust Florida at all after what I've seen from them. And I trust Georgia about as much as any team in the country. So I haven't looked hard into that game, but if I do end up betting it, I would be betting Georgia.
Yeah,
So
I mean, Georgia's allowing 9 points per game. It's insane. I get it that they played some bad teams the last few weeks, but I mean, Florida's not looked great against good teams. They beat the teams they should have. They were a little close against Tennessee a few weeks back, but double-digit loss to LSU 2 weeks ago, the week before the bye. All right, that rounds out our best bets for Saturday or for the weekend. Let's get into the slate. Let's start on Thursday. You got anything going on right now? I know we're recording on Thursday, so tell the people what you got.
I mean, we're watching NC State against Vatek right now, and it's 0-0, about to be
Snooze
0-0 at halftime. And of course, I got NC State minus 13. I thought they were going to bounce back. I think it's, off a bye and off the loss to Cuse. I thought they'd cover in this one. I know they still got the backup quarterback and everything, but I know I thought and Virginia Tech is terrible. Yeah, absolutely awful. So, and they still could cover.
Yeah, for sure.
Virginia Tech's not going to do anything against this NC State defense.
Oh, yeah.
So I think NC State could come back and cover, but I had NC State minus 13 tonight. And I also we got Washington State tonight against Utah. I got Washington State +7 in that one. You got Utah?
No, I thought you were about to say money line, and I was going to hop on, and I was about to be ready to go.
Yeah, maybe I'll add that too. I love Washington State.
So do I.
Maybe I'll do that.
Yeah,
I may have to do that now that I think about it.
Was it 70?
Just Utah's been a little disappointing.
Yeah, unfortunately, I liked them to start the season. I love those jerseys, love the helmets. It just hasn't been their season. They've been better at home than on the road. I think Washington State's been pretty good at home too. I mean, what's their quarterback's name in Washington State again?
Cam Ward.
Cam Ward. I always want to say Cam. It's just Cam versus Cam, right? Cam Rising versus Cam
Rising
Ward.
versus Cam Ward.
Oh, boy, it's the Cam Super Bowl at 10 p.m. on tonight. So I'm with you. I mean, I was thinking about Washington State already. I'm not taking anything yet, but maybe once we hop out, we'll tweet out Washington State. You'll see that.
Yeah.
I don't see anything on Friday. Am I missing something here? Is there any Friday games?
Friday, did I? Oh, I took ECU Friday against BYU. 3.5.
Yeah.
That's all right. 3.5. Yeah.
This
on the
is
road against BYU. BYU's lost 3 in a row. They're free falling, man. They're in trouble.
as an ECU gambler, this is the
Yeah.
games you stay away from, my friend.
You think so?
I usually yes, but BYU, to your point, has looked so bad for a month.
Mm-hmm.
It's making me think about it. It's making me think money line again about it, just because if BYU really is this bad, I mean ECU looked pretty good last week. They're not there. It's a hard place to play. I will say that about ECU, so it's a little tougher for them. But I mean, we called that. That was my spike pick of the week last week. That was such a surefire lock. ECU at home against UFC. They won by 20. Or UCF. They won by 20. It wasn't close at any point. Huge letdown spot for UCF last week. I think this is a potential letdown spot for ECU, but BYU has been so bad. I could see you going East Carolina +3 on the road. I like that. Anything for the other Friday game?
No,
Nah,
no. FIU, Louisiana Tech. No.
we've been doing this podcast for what 10 weeks now, 11 weeks. If you start spitting off about Florida International, I would be like, "Where has this been for 3 months? We haven't talked about these guys once." I think
Florida International.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm not even gonna pretend to give a shit about Florida International.
Yeah, what was that Conference USA? It's a tough one.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into Saturday. The big boys play noon kickoff. I said earlier I have a 2-game noon slate. It's Syracuse. It's actually 3 games now because I doubled down on Syracuse. Syracuse -2.5. Syracuse under. Ohio State 14.5. That's my noon slate. So Chip, what do you got to start off this noon slate?
Yeah, I got Cuse too, obviously, and I got Penn State.
Yep.
And I'm back in Akron again. Akron's +8.5 at home against Miami of Ohio. Akron's 2-0 this year against the spread as a home dog.
Okay.
Yeah. And no, go ahead.
I saw Akron too, 8.5. I was like, Miami of Ohio has been a real letdown for Chip and I this season.
Yeah. I picked them to win the MAC, and they have been a huge letdown so far.
I don't know. Did they? Well, who did they? How they do last week?
They didn't cover last week.
They didn't cover last week. They're 2-6 or 3-5 on the season so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, lost outright to Western Michigan. Lost outright the week before to Bowling Green.
Western Michigan.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. So to your point, you're talking about BYU being in free fall a little bit. I mean, Miami of Ohio for us has been a huge letdown. Maybe not free fall yet.
Miami of Ohio, that loss to Western Michigan probably ended their season, by the way.
Yeah.
Miami of Ohio, in terms of being able to win the MAC.
You're 1-3 in the MAC. I mean, Akron, see, when I looked at this game, I was like, oh, Miami of Ohio is a favorite. But then I remember you saying over and over throughout us doing this, Akron stinks. So I was like, all right, I'm going to stay away. Akron stinks. But 8 points is a lot for a home team. They're 0-4 in the MAC right now, Chip, 1-7 on the season. But to your point, you said they've covered twice at home.
They've covered twice as a home dog. And I don't know. I bet them last year. There's something about the MAC this year in particular, even where it's so weird. I wouldn't be surprised if Akron won this game outright. Because Miami of Ohio has been look at Miami of Ohio and Northern Illinois won the MAC last year. And they have 1 win or 2 wins or something. They've been awful.
Yeah.
It's just been a weird year. And yeah, Akron's not good at all. For sure. They're not great. But I don't know. At home, like I said, they're 2-0 against the spread this year as a home dog. I know they're 1-7, but there's a reason at 1-7 that they're still only 8-point dogs. Miami of Ohio just isn't that good either. So
it's true.
Yeah, I think it's worth going with Akron there. And I know there's another noon MAC game. I think it's Toledo against Eastern Michigan. But
you got anything in that game?
I'm looking at it, and it's Toledo's a weird team. They're supposed to be the favorites, but they've lost some weird games too. And Eastern Michigan, I can't get a read on at all. I still think Toledo's the best team in the MAC, but Toledo's 6.5-point favorites on the road, but all of the money is on Eastern Michigan, which makes me say are people watching Eastern Michigan? I don't understand. And then
85% of the money on Eastern Michigan.
yeah, yeah, and I know they're at home, and I know Toledo's been kind of erratic, I guess. But I don't. That makes me nervous. It makes me honestly. It makes me want to bet Toledo. But like I said, the MAC has been weird. I think I'm just going to stick to Akron in the noon slot for the MAC. And I'm looking at the other games, and I got my beautiful Boston College there, and I want so badly to fade them and take UConn, but it's fucking UConn.
Yeah.
How do you bet UConn? I mean, it's I'm already betting Akron. I'm not sure I can bet Akron and UConn. I mean, that's
Yeah.
even I'm not that crazy, man. I don't know if I
Parlay
can
them
go
up.
that far. Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I think I'm sure at some point I'll talk myself into, like something in the Arkansas Auburn game or something. But the new slate isn't as strong as it has been recently. Like Georgia Tech's playing Florida State. I'm not going to watch any of that game, so
Yeah,
I
I would
don't
say
care.
TC after Ohio State, Penn State. I would say TCU, West
Yeah,
Virginia is the
TCU
next
West
big game.
Virginia. Yeah, TCU West Virginia.
But
West Virginia is fun to watch, so I may check out that game.
that's a game
Um,
I could see me talking myself into
yes, that's true.
getting the West Virginia, the little anthem going and stuff like that. Country roads, seven and
I
a half at
yeah,
home.
that's
I could
that's
see
a
me tweeting out Saturday morning West Virginia money line, $50 on that, whatever that's gonna pay out.
yeah. I'm probably gonna do that.
I could see
I've
it.
West Virginia's covered for me twice this year already, and I like JT Daniels,
Yeah,
and I love country roads. I love I love tweeting out the John Denver GIF
yeah.
when they play and everything, and
And the seasons are changing. It's gonna be electric. I mean, it's noon kickoff, but still, West Virginia shows up.
oh, their fans are
TCU,
crazy, yeah. And with the
TCU,
seventh ranked team in the country there, it's going to be their fans are going to be nuts. It's a
yeah.
huge game for them.
Yeah, I mean, over under 68 and a half. Like you said, West Virginia could put up the
Oh,
football and score, so it's going to be
not a
good.
lot of defense
I might
going to be
take I might take
played.
that over. I might take that over. But I feel like TCU is going to have a letdown at some point. I'm not a big believer in trying to pick the spot where the team that's having a Cinderella season has a letdown, because I feel like more times than not you're wrong. So I'm not big on picking my spots. I might still go with it with West Virginia just because I'm talking myself into this fantasy right now, and I need some
Yeah,
action at noon.
I think they will. I think they will have a letdown. I'm not sure if it's going to be against West Virginia's defense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This could easily be a 50-40 football game.
Yeah,
All right, so let's move on from the noon slate. Unless you got anything else.
I don't think so. No, I don't like Oklahoma's playing Iowa State. I just don't care.
Yeah,
Like, I just
got
don't
anything in
care.
Rutgers, Minnesota at 2:30?
Hmm. I honestly haven't looked at that. Like, I don't think I'm going to be.
I want to
I
bet
didn't bet
Rutgers.
on Rutgers.
It's 14. I want to bet on Rutgers. I don't think Minnesota is very good this season. I think it's a big time letdown spot. Under 40 and a half, and 70% of the money is on the under. But dude, 80% of the public is on Rutgers. I can't bet a team that has 80% of the money behind it. It sucks because the public beat me to it. I would love to be on Rutgers right now, but I can't do it. I can't
Yeah.
do it. All right, so give
No,
me
80 Rutgers should never have 80% of the money on them.
yeah, I
They
get
never
that.
should.
I get this a big number. 2 touchdowns is tough, but on the road, Minnesota, that's a far trip. I feel like the Gophers get it rolling or whatever they do out there. I don't know. 3 o'clock though, Chip. What do you got there? Anything that catches your eye?
Well, Cincinnati is on the road at UCF, and they're dogs. I'm taking Cincinnati money line.
Okay.
Like, I'm not even hesitating. Cincinnati money line for sure. They lost the opener to Arkansas, and they're 6-0 since. I'm
Yeah.
not sure they haven't beaten anybody of like Arkansas's caliber. They've beaten a bunch of kind of mad teams. Last week they kind of sputtered at the end of the game against SMU and won by 2, but they've beaten who's been in front of them. They're 6-1. And I just don't think UCF's that good. I hate UCF, so my judgment there is cloudy, I guess, a little bit. But And I know they're dogs because the game's at UCF and it's a big game for them, and it's probably got conference implications there. And these probably are the two best, or two of the two best teams in the conference, right? Because I mean, I always forget Tulane's in there too. Tulane's,
Yeah,
yeah, Tulane is
they're pretty
the
good.
best. Tulane's really good, yeah. So this is huge game, but I don't know. I just think I'm going with the team that I trust more, and I trust Luke Fickle. I trust Cincinnati's system, their program, whatever you want to call it. And I'm not taking them spread. I'm taking Cincinnati money line. I think they go into UCF and they win like Cincinnati does. They win big games.
I like that. I like
Mm-hmm.
that. I'm not taking it personally, but I'm with you, man. I think UCF's had a very surprising season personally, just because of all the people they lost. I think they played really well. To your point, they haven't played really competition much better than Arkansas that they started off the season with. That was even a pretty competitive game. That was close. That came down to the end right there for a
Yeah.
cover. So, I just don't like UCF. But I got my spite pick in last week. I'm staying away from UCF right now. I'm going with ranked teams, man. I'm a sucker for these big games, I guess. I'm a sucker for the big
Mm-hmm.
spreads. Dude, I like ranked Illinois. -7.5 on the road this week against Nebraska. I know it's still might be a touchy subject here on the podcast because it's Nebraska. But, dude, I feel like Illinois has got it figured out and they got it rolling. 60% of the money's on Nebraska. I don't understand it. Maybe it's a home team getting a touchdown. Maybe they think Illinois is just not as good. But I like Illinois in this one.
Maybe they think it's letdown spot for Illinois. Finally, they're gonna have a little bit of a
Is
letdown.
this a ri-
They are riding high, Illinois, right now.
are
Like there's a
is this a rivalry, Illinois Nebraska?
Does Illinois football have rivalries?
I
I
don't
don't even
know. That's what I'm
know.
saying. I mean, it's both Big Ten. I don't know if they're both Big Ten West, both Big Ten
Yeah,
East. I don't
do
know.
they? Does Nebraska have rivalries in the Big Ten? I mean, they've been in the
They,
Big Ten for like 5 minutes.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, I guess I don't know. Um, they are both in the Big Ten West. Yeah, man. I think Illinois is just on a different level this year, which is weird to say. Who's the coach down in Illinois?
Bielema.
It's Bielema. I always want to say Bo Pelini. It's Bielema. That's right. Their defense is just incredible. They're up there with Iowa's defense in my mind for
Their
not
defense
big
is
time
good.
school defenses. Maybe they haven't been tested like Nebraska's going to test them, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see. So Illinois -7 for me. What else you got in that 3 o'clock slate?
I like the Illinois pick. I do. I like picking against Nebraska right now, the way they've looked. I want so badly to take
I also love
Oregon.
real quick. Sorry, I do too.
Oh,
That
go ahead.
how can you not like a quarterback named Tommy DeVito? That's just such a funny quarterback name. That's that East Coast Chicago boy, Tommy DeVito. It's not like the name you usually hear, I feel like, for a college quarterback.
He was so bad at Syracuse.
Yeah.
He played high school at Don Bosco, which is the high school I went to, our like arch rival.
Oh, all right.
That's
So
where he
maybe you
played.
can not like Tommy
No,
DeVito.
no, no.
Maybe
I
not.
could give a shit
Yeah.
about that. I don't give a shit about my high school's rival or anything.
Well,
I think
still,
it's just
if he was Syracuse's quarterback, he didn't play well, and he transferred, and he was on a 6-1 team, and Syracuse was having a bad season, I would hate that guy for the rest of my life. But Syracuse is having a good year.
but Syracuse is good, and it's not
Yeah,
like he's the reason
it's
Illinois
true.
is 6-1. He's there,
Yeah.
but their defense is awesome and they got great backs. So he's just kind of the guy that's there. But no, he's there and he's done his job. That's what I'll say about
Yeah.
Tommy DeVito. Yeah. He could, but let's say this. What Garrett Schrader is doing for Syracuse, Tommy DeVito could not be doing if
That's a
he were
great
there.
point.
So, I
I cut you
just
off on that
want to
Oregon
just
pick, though. I cut you off,
yeah,
though.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not forgetting, but what do
I
you
said
got?
I said I wanted to take, because I haven't taken Oregon yet this year. Haven't given them their respect, I guess, this year. And they're favored by 17 against Cal. and they're on the road. And I think Cal's just bad. I really do. And I think after what we saw against UCLA, man, I think we just learned either UCLA are complete frauds and or Oregon is just really freaking good. Look, they got spanked by Georgia, and we were really quick to jump the gun and say Oregon just wasn't that good. Maybe Georgia is just Georgia again, and Oregon's actually really good against every other team that isn't superhuman. Like maybe they can beat all the other teams. They just can't beat the teams that no one else can beat, like Georgia and Ohio State.
I agree.
And I think that's probably why Oregon is, it looks like they're going to win the Pac 12, right? I think they're the favorite at this point. Yeah, I like
Are
Oregon
they?
minus 17.
Over
Are they not?
USC?
Aren't they ranked higher than USC now?
Oh, are they? Does USC have 2 losses? I'm forgetting that.
USC has one. I thought Oregon only had one loss.
Yeah, they do. And yeah, I guess Oregon's 1 loss is Georgia. I mean, that's pretty incredible resume. Now that I say it out loud. Yeah, I mean, 17.5 is a lot of points. I do think Cal stinks. 95% of the money is on Cal. What?
What?
Does that sentence even make sense? 95% of the money is on Cal. That should never be a sentence out of anyone's mouth unless Bo Nix is out for the season and we just haven't heard about it yet.
Bo Nix on the road.
Not great.
Bo Nix on the road.
Not great. Don't get me wrong. We all tease John to start the season, but what can we say now? John's come through big time. He is the Bo Nix truther, if there is such a thing.
If there was ever a time for Bo Nix to throw 4 interceptions and fumble the ball twice, it would be this game.
Yep. That's why I'm staying away. I can't do it. I took the under last week, and I was cursing and screaming the whole time because that was over so easy, even though it was 70-something points.
You know what? I changed my mind. I'm going with Cal.
Wow. You're jumping on 95% of the money? You just had flashbacks. You just closed your eyes and saw interception after interception.
I did. But then you mentioned the money, and I'm like, I don't know if I should go on this game at all.
Don't forget, John at the beginning of the season thought last year Bo Nix was throwing game-winning touchdowns after game-winning touchdowns. He has done that at some point in his career. It wasn't last year. No, it wasn't last year, but he has that in him. That's what John sees when he closes his eyes. He sees the Bo Nix of
when John closes his eyes, he sees Tim Tebow. When he sees Bo Nix,
it's true.
He's Michael Vick in Virginia Tech.
Yeah. It's true. He was on him, man. He was on him from the start. So, all right. So, what's your official pick? We're going with Cal. Or we're going with Oregon.
I'm sticking with my original pick. I'm going with Oregon because even if Oregon doesn't cover, then I can just blame John if they don't cover anyway.
That's a great out. Speaking of blaming John, he's talked about this team. You've talked about this team. I'm a late arrival on the team, but I'm here to party now. I love Wake Forest -4 against Louisville. To me, this line makes no sense. That's the only thing that scares me about this line. I think it should be 13 or 14. I don't think Louisville is very good. 4-3 on the season. Wake is 6-1. I think Wake just absolutely rolls this game. Over under 64.5. To me, that was a little high. So I was thinking about taking that because the line kind of scared me a little bit. But then I said, have a little conviction. Go with something. So I'm going with Wake Forest -4. Only 40% of the money. So again, you're still fading the public. The over had 90% of the money on it. I was like, I can't do that. I'm sticking with Wake Forest.
Wake Forest is going to score a lot of points on Louisville.
Yeah.
I know they're on the road. I think I'm definitely going to be putting Wake Forest money line into some parlays.
I like
That's what
that.
I'm going to be doing. But I like Wake Forest spread. I think there's some Wake Forest disrespect here. I think people are looking at like Louisville home dog or whatever, and I guess desperate team, whatever you want to say. But no, Wake Forest is significantly better. This is a weird line, -3.5.
Yeah, I thought it should be way higher.
Mm-hmm. No, I like Wake here. But I've liked Wake all year long, too. I think they're really good. So.
Yeah, you and John have been talking about them all season. All right, what else you got in this 3 o'clock slate? I got one more. You got anything else?
Oh, I'm just going to take Oak State. Gundy as a dog.
Let's go, Chip. That's my last game is
Yeah,
Oak
yeah.
State. All right,
Dog,
you know what? We
Gundy as a
don't
dog, man.
no analysis, no nothing.
No, Gundy as
Nope,
a dog.
Gundy is a dog. Don't think, just throw. Pick of the week from Chip and
Mm-hmm.
Greg. Oklahoma State to round out the 3 o'clock window. I love it. All right, 7 o'clock or evening slate. If you got something that starts in the 6 o'clock range, what do you got? Give me something, because I got 4 plays left that I
Okay,
love.
well, I already said Michigan.
Yep, we talked about that.
We talked about Michigan, and I don't know if did we talk about Marshall before we came on or
I think
during?
so. I think
Yeah.
so.
So Marshall's -2.5 against Coastal Carolina, and I know you didn't like it because you thought it was weird that Coastal Carolina opened up -1, and
Yep.
now it's Marshall -2.5. I kind of love that because Coastal Carolina has been such a huge disappointment this year,
Yep.
and I just think like I thought it was weird that they were favored at all because they're Coastal Carolina's on the road against Marshall, so I thought it was weird that they opened as a favorite because they just haven't played very well. So for Marshall to only be favored by 2.5 at home, I actually think is good value. I think Marshall should win pretty handily. I just don't. People are still thinking that Coastal Carolina is the same team they were last year. They're not. They're just not as good as they were.
So I agree with you in that, but then I had someone push back and was like, dude, they're 6-1. Like, what do you want them to be? They're 6-1. Like, what do you mean they're not as good as last year, not as good as previous years? I'm like, I don't know. When you watch the game, they're just not as good. I don't know how to describe it. So
Yeah, they're win, but it's like you watch them and you feel like eventually it's going to catch up to them. Like they're 6-1, but there's a reason they're dogs against Marshall. Like I don't know off the top of my head what Marshall's record is, but
it's not great, but they've had a
it's
couple big wins.
yeah, it's not 6-1. I know that.
Yeah, 4-3, 1-2 in the
Yeah,
conference.
4-3. Yeah,
But they beat JMU at JMU when JMU got ranked for the first time.
yeah.
They beat Notre Dame earlier this season. Like they get up for big games. Maybe it's
And
not a
this is a
big
big game.
I feel like
Coastal,
it is.
no, Coastal Carolina coming to your place is a big game.
A 6-1
Great
Coastal Carolina.
Grayson McCall. That's a big game. I think they'll win. I think Marshall wins. And again, Marshall money line. I'll probably put in some parlays. I would think because that's a.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't understand the Coastal Carolina opening up as a favorite on the road thing, but
yeah, the public certainly agrees with it. 88% of the money right now in Marshall. That's why the lines move so much. That's why it's moved so much, though. To your point,
I know, but it's just hearing that out loud.
That's true. That's true.
I like Marshall a lot. Still, it's just, that's a lot.
Yeah, but when there's that much money and the line's not moving, that scares me. This makes total sense because they moved it 3 points. I mean, that's nuts. But to your point, if it stays like this come game time, the spread might be 3.5. So get it at 2 right now. I like that. All right, I'm sticking with big numbers. I'm sticking with big games. I'm sticking with big teams. I talked about it earlier. I thought USC was the best team in the Pac-12. I guess I'll concede to Oregon for now. But still, I think they're going to get it rocking and they're going to get it rolling this week. I love USC against Arizona. They're 10th. They're ranked 10th right now in the nation. Oregon's 8th. So, yeah, they dropped back a little bit. -15.5 on the road. The total is 76.5. 76. Arizona is not going to play any defense. We all know that. I think USC is going to play a little defense and win this game by more than 16 points. What do you think, Chip? You got anything in this one?
Is USC really going to play that much defense? I mean, maybe they play a little bit of defense, but
I think they're going to stop them a couple times. Like I think there's going to be, say they go head to head and like score every possession, even though it's probably not going to happen. I think there's going to be 3 possessions where Arizona kicks a field goal where USC scores a touchdown. Whether that means it's going to be, 24-3, that's not likely. But whether it's, whatever it is, I think just USC is at least 3 touchdowns better than Arizona, even if they go toe-to-toe and go back and forth, scoring all game. because you're going to have to with 76 points. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah. No, I would take USC, I guess, minus 15. I would. I think they'll put up a bunch of points. I don't know.
Yeah,
Arizona's bad. Arizona's better than I thought they were going to be. I thought they were going to win
yeah,
like one game.
that's
Yeah, I
I
took the
agree.
I took the under on them, and I think their total was 2. So I thought they were going to be absolutely awful. But yeah, I think USC definitely wants to stomp somebody too right now because I guess they're not the favorite right now to win the Pac-12.
Yeah,
Oregon is, so I think they want to stomp somebody. And yeah, 76 and a half. Holy shit, that's big.
that's as big as it gets. I haven't seen too
Yeah.
many bigger than 76 and a half. So
I mean, how many games has Arizona had where they've scored like 40 points? I don't even know. I'm sure they've had some.
have they? I really don't know. I don't watch Arizona that much. Yes, they have. No. So they lost last week 49-39. I guess that's technically, I mean, it's pretty much 40 points. But the week before that, they scored only 22 against Oregon. They've let up 50 points the last 2 weeks to
Okay.
Washington and
Yeah.
Oregon, back-to-back weeks.
So that's what people are counting on.
They
Them
let
just
up
giving up a 50 spot.
they let up 49 to Cal, Chip.
Oh my God. It's the over. The
Cal.
over. The over. The over.
Oregon scored Colorado scored 20. That might be Colorado's season high on the season. So yeah, Arizona's offense is honestly a little bit better than what I expected. I didn't expect them to be able to score 40 points on bad teams and put up 20 something on the likes of Washington and Oregon. So yeah, I could see the over going to 76, and I could see it being a close game. What else you got in this 7 o'clock slate? Because there's some pretty good matchups here. This
Yeah, you
evening
got
slate.
Kentucky, Tennessee's here too.
Yep,
Yeah. I'm going Tennessee here.
same.
Tennessee minus 12. My friend's going to be at the game. I was thinking about going to the game, but I couldn't make it. I wish I was going. But yeah, I like Tennessee here. Again, Kentucky's just overrated. I don't think Tennessee's going to have a letdown spot. I think they're going to cry. I think they're much better than Kentucky. I think they're going to crush them. I think Tennessee is for real. I think Tennessee could win the SEC East. I think they could beat Georgia. I think they're that good.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to defense for Tennessee if they're going to be able to stop Georgia a couple times.
Yeah.
'Cause I think their
I
offense is going to be lights out.
Yeah, I think their offense will be great. I think I'm worried about potential look ahead game situation with this one because they got a massive game next week again, obviously, but with Georgia. But yeah, I think they'll win. I think they can cover 12 points. They just score. They score so easily. Yeah, like they score easier than any team in the country. I think with Hooker and those wide receivers. Shit, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I like
crazy.
Tennessee. Yeah.
It's going to be their
And they play
highest.
so damn fast too. So damn fast.
Yeah, they just keep it going. They keep it scoring. I mean, the over-under is 61.5 I see here. 62
Yeah.
on some sports book. The 70% to the over right now in the public betting. So 50-50 right now on the actual bets. With a big bet coming in on Kentucky. So, or maybe there's just not a lot of bets in right now in the game.
Some Kentucky alumnus
Yeah,
threw
plus
down a bunch of money
350.
on
Did you
Kentucky.
see the jerseys for Tennessee this week? The black and orange.
The black ones, yeah.
That's all I need to see. It's Halloween season, baby. Let's go. I'm ready for it. So I'm with you. Tennessee minus 12. I think that's easy. It's one of the bigger spreads they've had this season when it hasn't been like a 40-point spread. I think they were minus 10 or 11 to Florida. Other than that, they've kind of been a little bit lower. So I think that's putting some respect on Tennessee's name. I think Tennessee showed that they're legit. I think the spreads are going to be those double-digit spreads probably the rest of the season. But maybe not, because like you said, they got Georgia next week. So I don't know. Are they going to be an underdog next week?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Against Georgia?
You just said you think they could beat them, right?
I think they can beat them.
Yeah.
I think they can beat them, but how many other people think they
Yeah,
can
that's
beat
true.
them?
That's true. That might be a money line bet. That's gonna be a tough one for me next
Oh,
week.
I'm going to take the money line. I know that.
Yeah, Texas Tech is my last one. I've talked about them all year. I love the Red Raiders. I like their offense. They got a big win against Texas a couple weeks ago that I absolutely fell in love with the team. I think I was off them last week, but I'm back on this week. I personally like the over in this game. I think their offense is pretty good. I've become more comfortable with it. Over under 62.5, 7:30 kickoff against Baylor at home. I think Texas Tech is pretty good at home. I think they might be one of those teams that's much better at home than they are on the road. The spread is -2.5, but I love the over 62.5.
62, that's big.
It is. I think both these teams could score. I mean, Baylor's offense has been legit. I just keep thinking of the game that they played against who was it? It was Oklahoma. My line in the sand game against Baylor, and then Baylor just kept running and running and running it. I think maybe not. Maybe that wasn't. But last week against Kansas, man, I was thinking about something with Kansas as a spite pick. I think they might be on a bye this week, or I just completely blocked them out of my head. Kansas, I had them +9. They could not keep it close enough.
Backup quarterback, man.
I know, but they just look so on the cusp. I really do think it was those jerseys. I did not know they were going to be wearing these like powdered blue weird jerseys. Baylor just looked legit. So I think both these teams will score 62.5 for the over. That is my final pick of the 7 o'clock slate.
Okay. We got the fraud game too. Ole Miss against Texas A&M.
Oh, the Fraud Bowl?
The fraud game, I said. The fraud. FRAUD.
I like that.
Playing against that. Ole Miss and A&M. A&M obviously exposed right from the start, but Ole Miss exposed last week by LSU, just destroying them.
Yep.
Had no business being ranked in the top 10. LSU just wrecked them.
That was a double winner for me last week too, by the way. Ole Miss the under. It was close, but it hit. I'm telling you, unders are fun, Chip. I don't care what anyone says. Unders are fun. LSU, I had them too. That was fun.
It's funny you should say that because I'm going with the under with these two duds of teams here.
Wow.
I got A&M as 1.5 point dogs, and I love a home dog, but I'm like, I can't count on Jimbo to win.
No.
And after what I saw from Ole Miss last week, as much as I would love to take Lane Kiffin here and bet on Jimbo to lose, I can't count on them either. Obviously, A&M isn't as good as LSU, but I can't count on Ole Miss. There's a reason it's only 1.5.
Yep.
Even though A&M stinks, and Ole Miss was ranked in the top 10 a week ago. Like, it's insane that they're now 1.5 point dogs against a lousy A&M team.
It is.
So I'm going with the under because I think this game could be ugly because I think both of these teams just aren't that good. And Ole Miss was lucky to be ranked in the top 10 because other teams were struggling at the right time. Ole Miss was in the right place at the right time. They'll probably win 9 games, 8 games, and get in a decent bowl game. They're a team they're one of those teams that gets lucky because they're in the SEC. They reap those rewards.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And A&M has been like that before too, but they just suck this year. So I like the two bad teams playing, overrated teams playing under. Give me the under.
Under 54.5. I love it. You were all over Texas A&M not being good this season. You've been talking about it for weeks. Just because they had a good draft class does not mean they're going to have a good season. I think you should put that on a T-shirt because that is
North Carolina.
Yeah.
North Carolina, Mac Brown clause.
It's true about everything. You see the stat they had? What was it? Jimbo, if he stays on the team for another 5 years, the buyout after 5 years would still be a record for the biggest buyout in college football history.
Oh my God. His agent is a genius.
Yeah. It would still be $25 million buyout, I think. I think that would still be
it's
the
like
largest
$100
one.
million now, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so even if he plays 5 more seasons, 5 years from now, 2027, they do the buyout, still would set the record. So they got to figure something out because he's going to be there. They're stuck with him because they gave him all that money, and this team absolutely stinks. People are going to transfer. Who knows?
But are they, though? Because I feel like those oil guys, those A&M oil guys, they don't give a shit. They'll pay all that money to get rid of the guy if they really don't like him that much.
I'll never probably be in this position. I'm definitely not in this position right now. So I'm speaking out of turn. Maybe I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I feel like there's a big difference between a $7 million payout and buyout and a $75 million
Oh
buyout.
yeah, for
That's
sure, for
big
sure.
time.
But it's $75 million. If you get five guys who are worth $100 million, like easily, to throw their millions around, or
Yeah.
more than that, I feel like you got so many guys who are worth so much money who are Texas A&M boosters.
Yeah, maybe the boosters, maybe there's like a rich version of GoFundMe we don't know about, and they just like fund stuff
Well,
like
aren't those the people that are paying for these recruits to come to Texas
yeah, that's what I'm
A&M?
saying. Maybe there's like a Texas A&M GoFundMe for rich people just to recruit people, fund the programs, get rid of Jimbo Fisher. Maybe there's
That
something
this
like
is
that out
my
there.
my fantasy or whatever of it is these rich NIL booster guys go to the AD and they're like, "Hey, you want these kids to keep coming to play for your school?
Yeah,
Well, Jimbo's got to go. We'll fund the buyout, and then you move on." That's what I assume would be the thing that happened, right?
I assume
Maybe,
so too, but that is
yeah.
a tough conversation to have. Like we'll give you essentially 75 million for the coach and another 5 million for the players
But
to keep them
I
coming
read
in.
an article about Michigan State and Mel Tucker when they gave him 100 million, and the article basically said like these two tech guys who went to Michigan State like funded the contract, like they put up the money for Mel Tucker's deal just because they wanted to like say like, oh, we went to Michigan State and we paid for the football coach,
Yeah.
like.
Like I said, I might be talking out of turn. Maybe it is a drop in the bucket for some Texas A&M fans out there. So it's like giving away $5 from me. So they're like, hey, you know what? Get rid of them. Let's get someone new. I don't know. Who knows? But what I do know for a fact is I love UCLA to bounce back at the 10 o'clock slate. Minus 16.5, I believe at home. Right now, the money is
Oh, they're
split
playing
50-50.
Stanford. Ugh.
Playing Stanford at home after a tough loss. I think they were competitive, but they were never really in the game for a chance to win it. Last week against Baylor. Stanford, off a great win against Notre Dame, kept it going and won against Arizona State. I get that it's Arizona State, but still a 2-game win streak for a team that had one win on the whole entire season so far, riding up to 12 ranked UCLA. I think UCLA absolutely stomps them out. Minus 16.5 is the number right now. The money split 50-50. 75% of the bets, though, are coming in on UCLA, so maybe a big time bettor out there that put a lot of money on Stanford. I love UCLA at home minus 16.5, over under 66.5 with 72% of the money towards the over. Don't really have a good feel on that, but if I'm having a good Saturday, I'll definitely be tweeting out this pick at 10 o'clock because I like a little action to end the evening. There is a Hawaii game, so that's still out there too. But
Mm.
Chip, what do you got for this 10 o'clock slate? You got anything in this late window?
I don't think so. I don't.
Or you got anything on the UCLA game? You got any thoughts on that? No, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Mm, I mean, maybe UCLA. I just want someone to put David Shaw out of his misery. Poor guys, but that poor guy's been getting fired for like the last 3 years. I feel bad, but they have won the last two. If this was at home, I'd be looking at Stanford. I haven't
Sure.
bet Stanford all year. I took UCLA last week and they burned me, so I don't know if I can't bet a team 2 weeks in a row that I lost on last week. I
Yeah.
can't do that.
I don't
So
blame
I
you.
don't think I'm going to be taking UCLA, but Stanford on the road after, they beat, you said they beat Arizona State last week
Yeah.
and they beat Notre Dame the week before. But I mean, Notre Dame at home has been terrible, and Arizona State's, their football program is in absolute shambles. They're a disaster, and they beat them by one. So
Yep.
I don't know how impressive those two wins are, but they were wins.
Yeah, they were both by 1 point. I mean, they were as close as they could possibly be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I may look more towards the total and even like UCLA's team total
Yeah.
and take the over on something like that just to be like, oh, UCLA could just blow the doors off from there. But I'm not sure Stanford would score enough points to hit the total because UCLA's defense has improved. I think.
Yeah, I think they've been pretty good. I think they had a tough time with Oregon last week, but I think most teams in the country at this point will have a tough time with Oregon.
Yeah,
Just took them a
I
little while
mean
to get it going, man. They had,
Stanford is in Oregon, so
yeah, that's true.
yeah.
That's true. They brought the guy over from Georgia. They got Bo Nixon, their quarterback. They had a lot of stuff going on. But before we get out of here, unless you have anything else, I want to go over John's picks. He tweeted them in, or he texted them in. So again, you can follow all our picks on Winning P Weekly. We tweet them out. We retweet each other. Or you can follow Chip Murphy on 7. He's talking basketball. He's talking football. I don't know. We're talking a little bit of everything on there. So go check him out. John's picks for the weekend. We're just talking about Stanford. He's got him in a parlay. He was great last week, John. So again, follow us on Twitter. Stanford plus 16.5. South Dakota State plus 8.5. He's got a little late night window underdog parlay, which I like. And then just regular games, he has UNC minus 3.5, UNC first half minus 1.5. Did not bet that game at all. I'm surprised he's on it. He said they're 0-6 after the bye, so they're due. Maybe they are. That's tough. That's a tough one for me. I saw the stat and I stayed
Who's
away from
0-6
UNC.
after the bye?
UNC.
Carolina.
Yeah.
Mac Brown after a bye is bad. Is that?
Yeah, it made me think about just automatically betting the other team, but I didn't even look up who they were playing. So I was like, I'm just gonna stay away from that.
They're playing Pitt. Is Pitt coming off a bye? Do we know?
They probably are. It seems like they've been trying to do that this year. Seems like they've been trying to line these things up.
No, they played last week.
Okay.
They lost to Louisville last week.
Oh, it's tough to lose to Louisville.
Pitt's overrated.
He's got the under in Michigan 54.5. He's with you in Penn State at plus 15.5. He likes Florida State first half minus 13.5. Didn't talk about that game, but those are some big games. West Virginia plus 7.5. All right, that's good. He's on that. That might start the train. Get the West Virginia music going. Oklahoma State plus 1.5. He agrees with that. Opposite on UCF minus 1.5. Chip, I don't like to hear that. Wake first half minus 2. Wake full minus 3.5. Minnesota minus 13.5. Minnesota under 40.5. He doesn't have any best bets. He has Washington State plus 7.5, but he does have a what am I missing pick. What am I missing pick? Syracuse first half and full. He's taken both those. We agreed with him. We talked about it earlier in the episode. And that's it this week, Chip. Week 9 in the books. I still can't believe we're getting into double-digit weeks next week.
I know.
It's crazy. But again, you can follow us, Winning Picks Weekly, wherever podcasts are available. You can follow us on YouTube, on the Knicks, Jets, etc. YouTube channel. We have our own playlist there. And, of course, on Twitter. We're Winning P Weekly. He's Chip Murphy 7. Chip, thanks again for another fun week.
Absolutely, man. Always fun.
I will see you guys next week.